Welcome to episode 209 of the Actual Astronomy Podcast, the objects to observe in the April 2022 night sky edition. I'm Chris, and joining me is Shane. We are amateur astronomers who love looking up the night sky, and this podcast is for anyone else who likes going out under the stars, which we're just starting to be able to do after our horrendously cold and snowy winter here, Shane.
Yeah, we had we kind of go through cycles here. For a few years you get no snow and warm temperatures, and then for a few years it's cold and you get lots of snow. And I don't know if this is the start of the cold and lots of snow, but certainly that's the winter that we had.
Yeah, well, it certainly was cold the past couple of years as well. That is for sure. I remember 2019 was even colder, and the past few years haven't been quite as snowy, but this year we had both the cold and the snow, but finally we're getting above zero temperatures just about every day, and things are starting to melt off nicely. So I'm really looking forward to April, more so than usual.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we also have a great conjunction of sorts, which happens from the end of March through the first week of April. So I couldn't recall. I think we had that great conjunction in December of 2021. December of 2020, between Jupiter and Saturn. I think that I just barely got it, and then you end up totally clouded out for that one, I believe, that night.
The day of, yeah, I believe so. I had great observations of it the day before. Actually, like 2 or 3 days before each night I was observing it, but the day of, I just missed it. Yeah,
and we got a couple of these this month, sort of an interesting month for you. April, we have Mars and Saturn starting off. Even the last couple of days of March, they're going to be pretty close, Mars and Saturn, and they're going to be in the same binocular field or wide field telescope field until about the end of the first week. And for the 4th and 5th, on those two mornings, Mars and Saturn are going to be closer than half a degree.
Wow. Yeah, that's super tight. That's well within any telescope will have a field of view larger than that. So, anybody can observe this if you wake up a little earlier.
Yeah, I think this is one I'm definitely going to try to start getting out to take a look at here. We're recording this on the 27th. I think this podcast is going to come out on the 31st. And so by the 31st, this one will be visible in the morning sky. And certainly by the 4th and 5th, they're going to be really, really close together. So yeah, I think this is going to be a neat one to see Mars and Saturn getting super, super close during this first week of April. I think people should try to get out and take a look. This is something to see. And it's surprising that they are getting so close, and there's been virtually no fanfare for this one, unlike the Great Conjunction. I don't know. I thought this sort of conjunction would almost equal that one in a way, because Mars is in opposition this year. It's coming along. Might even be able to get a hint of like a polar cap while you're looking at Saturn's rings in that same telescopic eyepiece field. I think that is a unique sight, Shane.
Yeah, this is a super cool opportunity. I'm hoping you see it. You know me, I'm not likely to wake up early to observe.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'll live vicariously through you on this one.
Yeah, I'll definitely get up and take a crack at this one. I got I have some parts coming. I think I mentioned that I lost one of the feet off my tripod, one of my portable tripods that I use for observing. I had left a piece of it in the field. Unfortunately, like one of the feet got stuck in the mud and pulled out. I had noticed this and I drove off, and I actually thought it was like the whole leg, but it's just the foot. And when I realized that, I thought, because I had hoped that once the snow starts to melt, I'd be able to go out and just retrieve it. But the way that what they call the prairie gumbo does to swallow things up, I don't think there's any chance of me ever seeing that again. I probably drove over it, and that would just have pushed it right into the soil. It's gone.
Yeah, your time has a price on it too, so you have to you'd spend a lot of time trying to find that little foot.
And it's, yeah, a replacement was $20. And what was funny is that I looked at one of my other feet in the tripod, and what they are is they're these little rubber feet. They're about an inch or so across, and they kind of are like cones, and then you can kind of screw them up and down. If you screw them up or down, like there's a bit of a metal stud that kind of sticks out. But they do kind of, they're a bit of a friction fit, but I think, quite a tight friction fit. And I guess this must have happened once before. I have no recollection of this. And one of them had fallen out, and I had wrapped it in tape and was able to jam it back in. And that one also fell out. And so I have that one, but I'm like, okay, how much are these things? And so they're $20. So I was like, you know what? I ordered a couple. So I got 2 new feet coming to replace these ones. I thought in the end I should have just bought a third one, but I'm like, I'm too cheap. I'm not going to get 3. So they're going to be replaced. And then, what else I bought is, I didn't realize I could get this, and I'll probably need your help on this, is that, the little handle on my column, like, cause you can ratchet that column up.
Oh yeah.
There's like a little plastic part that had come off, and, you can buy a replacement column, winch or handle or whatever it is. And that may be beyond my skill set to replace, but I'm hoping maybe I can lean on you. It comes with instructions for how to do it. And I thought maybe that would be an interesting spring project for us to do together. I can break more of your tools.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Good stuff. All right. On April 3rd, Uranus is going to be 0.6 degrees north of the Crescent Moon. That is super close. Again, just over half a degree between the moon and Uranus on that night. So basically, wow, on April 3rd, the star that is really close to the moon is not a star. That is the planet Uranus, shining at about a little bit brighter than 6th magnitude. So that is a binocular object, even from the city.
Yeah. Really good opportunity to observe Uranus if you've never seen it before, and see if you can tease out some of the color.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think on the 4th, I think the next night, the moon and the crescent moon and the Pleiades are in the same field of view. So you can try for that the following night. On April 8th, we have the Lunar X, and this is a really good night for the Lunar X on April 8th. So what is the Lunar X, Shane, and how can people see it?
The Lunar X is what is known as a clair obscure. It's not an object. It's an effect with it's a play with this illuminated part of the moon and the shadowy areas on the moon. And it can create some interesting things to observe. One of them is this Lunar X. So if everything aligns up properly, you can see this X feature. It's not really a feature, but it's this prominent X right along the terminator on April the 8th. Now, I assume, Chris, that this is probably just for Canada and the US.
Yep,
I'm assuming,
it is,
yeah. Because, excuse me, it is a timed event, and it only happens for a brief moment. So, if you're not in the right area, like the right spot on Earth at the right time, you're not going to see this. Now, also, the Lunar X is not super rare. Like, this does happen periodically throughout the year. It is really neat to observe, though, if you've never seen it. And even if you have, it's still a fun thing to check out. And whenever the Lunar X is visible, there's also a Lunar V that I think is north of the X. Ooh. So look for that as well along the terminator.
Cool. All right. Maybe we'll talk next about April 9th. We have the first quarter moon and then the straight wall. So maybe tell us a little bit about the straight wall.
Yeah, so this is another sort of clair obscure effect. There's a ridge on the moon. I forget the name of the ridge, but again, when the timing is just right, it casts a shadow. And through a telescope, it really looks like a very straight line, and it's quite large and it's quite dark. So if you're out on the 9th and you're observing the moon, look for this dark straight line. It is really neat. I observed that for the first time last year, and I was really blown away with that feature. So definitely check that out if you've never seen it.
Yeah, I tried to look it up really quick here, but I couldn't find it that quick. But yeah, that's kind of neat. On those 2 nights, I think these are going to represent 2 really good nights, because sometimes the Lunar X feature is just catching one part of North America, but I think this time we are ideally suited here, right in central North America, and then to the east and west are well placed as well. So that this will be a pretty good night for us here, and then the following night to be able to see the straight wall could be a good opportunity. So one thing we mentioned so far in this episode, Shane, is that on the 4th and 5th, Mars and Saturn are going to be about half a degree apart. And then on the 3rd, Uranus and the Crescent Moon are going to be just over half a degree apart. And so just maybe for people, maybe we just back up for a second, maybe for people that are just sort of getting into astronomy, what does this half a degree business look like on the night sky? Like for somebody who's just getting started, how can they know how close half a degree is, and maybe what it would look like through the eyepiece?
Well, half a degree is very close. So one of the methods of measurement in the sky that we always refer to is your fist. So if you make a fist and you hold that out at arm's length and kind of cast that upon the sky, the width of your fist is 10 degrees in the sky. So now, to extrapolate that down to half a degree, you can get a sense of how close those objects will be. Now, through a telescope or even binoculars, a half a degree, is still quite close. Like it'll be quite incredible to see, these objects in the same field of view.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea that half degree is a small measurement is something to keep in mind. That 10 degrees is starting to get fairly large. Average binocular will have about 5 degrees or more as its field of view, so just over half a fist. And once you get over about half a fist towards the full size fist, then that's a distance for stuff that's spread apart that's going to be best to see just with your unaided eye alone. But for these things, using binoculars or telescopes are definitely going to catch your eye. In fact, half a degree, though, you should be able to separate that with your eye. Like just at a quick glance, they're almost going to blend together, I think, probably, aren't they? Like half a degree is pretty close. Just if you gave a quick glance up, like it's gonna, like just if you were glancing around, like this might even just catch your attention, even if you're just really not that interested in astronomy at all. You might say, hey, what the heck is that? Looks like a set of headlights up there in space or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, agreed.
Cool. And on that, Jupiter on the 12th, April 12th, Jupiter is going to be as close. This is like almost hard to believe. Less than 0.1 degrees north of Neptune in the morning sky. So that is exceptionally close together.
Yeah, that is very, very tight. Yeah, that'll be very interesting to observe. Are you waking up for that one too?
Yeah, I think so. I'll see what our conditions are like, and certainly it's getting warmer. And these are things that, I can see from my back deck, and my back deck now has no snow on it, so I'm good to go there. And even in like a little telescope, like my 60 millimeter, I can just leave it by the back door and just grab it and haul it out in 2 steps and take a look. Yeah, this is going to be really a neat month for seeing things paired up in the morning sky. And I'm just going to look and see. The one thing for people to remember is these are morning times. And so that's key, because sometimes people put these things in their calendar and they think it's going to be in the evening, but most of these are in the morning unless we specifically state. So, and that is the morning of the 12th. So you got to set your alarm nice and early and get up and haul that little telescope out and take a peek. But yeah, I think I got my little 60 millimeter right here with me where I'm sitting, and going to get that all set to go by the back door for this month, and just really use these opportunities when these planets are pairing up, because I just think it's super cool. And these are easy observations to make. You can find these things, they're naked eye, you can see them, but they're unique because they're sets of planets and/or planet and the moon super, super close in the nighttime sky. It's going to be a very fun month. Yeah,
no kidding. Great opportunities coming our way.
Yeah. If you're looking for something a little more challenging on the 12th, and that is the weekend. So if we do happen to have some clear skies and end up spending some time outside of the city, asteroid 8 Flora is going to be at opposition. It's not a great opposition though, and it's going to be at magnitude 9.7. So that one could be worth hunting down. I got to start trying to get out and hunting down some of these I guess minor planets or asteroids. So should be kind of a neat object to take a look at, hopefully.
Yeah. I need to do the same, Chris. I don't prioritize asteroids, and I need to, because some of our listeners have written us about their observations of asteroids and minor planets, and it's quite fascinating. So I need to make a greater effort to observe this stuff.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look up and see exactly where it is, but I'm not able to do that as fast as I would have liked. Meant to point that out. So yeah, probably best to, because it's almost 10th magnitude, you're going to want to look at this in your planetarium software. So this isn't something that I can just wheel out and say it's in which constellation, and then you're going to be able to find it really easily. You're going to want to be able to look that up in your planetarium software anyway, and take a look at it. So sorry about that. But Flora is kind of interesting. It's the innermost of the large main asteroids. And that means that it's larger than 25 kilometers in diameter. And it can be brighter than 8th magnitude during better oppositions than this. But there are some people out there, and the reason why I'm throwing this one out, even though it might be a bit of a challenge, is we do have lots of listeners that do go and hunt these down, take photographs of them, make observations of them, and that's pretty interesting. This one was discovered by Hind in 1847, and it was John Herschel who proposed the name Flora, which is after the Latin goddess of flowers. So isn't that nice? Because here we are in April, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing some flowers after such a snowy winter.
April showers bring May flowers.
Exactly. So it's also the parent body of the Flora family of asteroids, and they're rocky metal asteroids that are up there. Do you have any Floras in your asteroid or meteorite collection?
I do not. Well, I do have like rocky metal meteorites, but I'm not sure if they're Flora. This is new to me, so I'm not sure.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to April 16th to 18th. So again, we have a beautiful lineup that's going to shape up on these mornings. It's going to be up there for these several days of Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and Saturn. They're going to line up in the morning sky. I think, and I've read different dates at different sources, but the planets, although they move appreciably night to night, like to your unaided eye, they're not moving these huge distances every night, although they are moving huge distances in space. When you're just looking at them with your unaided eye against the other planets that are up there in the morning sky, they're going to sort of appear to be in this lineup over the better part of a week there in that third week of start of the third week of April. So that could be a pretty sight in the morning sky. Maybe if people take a photo of it kind of arching over, I don't know, like maybe some budding trees or maybe some flowers or something like that, could be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
The full moon also occurs, I think, on the 16th. And then on the 17th, Uranus is going to be 2 degrees south of Mercury. This one's going to be in the evening sky. So that could be interesting because, of course, Uranus is brighter than magnitude 6. Mercury is fairly bright, but they're going to be low on the horizon. But I think if you can get them in a telescope, I think you should be able to see them. Like in my 4-inch, I easily can get a 2-degree field of view and some reasonable power, and to be able to see Uranus and Mercury together, that would be pretty cool. And we have all these planetary alignments. There's even some more coming up. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
So April 22nd and 23rd, this is, in my opinion, when meteor shower season starts, and we have the Lyrid meteor shower, and you can expect to see an average of about 10 meteors per hour. And if you get some clear skies between midnight and dawn, that's when you might stand the chance of actually seeing one of the surges of the Lyrids, where you might get even up to 100 meteors per hour. And I just love going out as we get into this sort of end of April time period when the Lyrids are picking up, because then we can be out enjoying some observing, perhaps when it's not below zero, and you'll see these meteors streaking in. And while it's not like the most spectacular meteor shower, it really to me anyway, feels like sort of one of those quintessential observing nights, just as you're starting to really be able to get out and enjoy some warmer weather and some longer observing sessions, and be able to look through the telescope. And as you sort of turn your eye away from the eyepiece, every once in a while you'll catch a meteor when you're out on those nights. So makes for a really enjoyable time.
Yeah. April's really shaping up to be a good month.
Yeah. Thankfully, after the period that we've gone through, which is really quite poor. So fingers crossed on some better weather. And there on April 23rd, we have the last quarter moon. And on the 24th, we have Saturn about 5 degrees north of the moon in the morning sky. So within a binocular field, you have Saturn and the moon in the morning sky. And the 24th should be nice. And then on the 25th, we have Mars 4 degrees north of the moon in the morning sky. And this is starting to remind me of when we had the moon pairing up like with Saturn and Jupiter sort of month after month after month, like we did there over the past, like in 2020, 2021 kind of time frame.
Yeah, that's very cool. And like you said, definitely well within a binocular field of view. And some wider field telescopes, like some shorter focal length refractors, can fit 4 or 5 degrees as well. So if you have a telescope that can achieve those fields of view, those will be some very nice sights.
Yeah. And if you don't have a telescope, on the 26th of April, you'll be able to see the moon halfway between Venus and Mars. And kind of what's neat about all this, even if you're just sort of following it along and maybe you don't have a telescope, or maybe you don't have a pair of binoculars, you can actually use like the moon to kind of point out which of the planets it's close to on these nights. And if you do have binoculars, I think just dust those binoculars off and take them in. You'll be able to take in and see some of the stuff for yourself. But yeah, on the 26th, the moon is going to sit right between Venus and Mars. So I think that's going to be a neat set as well. And then on the 27th, this is really like the closest of close conjunctions. Venus is going to be 0.01 degrees south of Uranus in the morning sky. So it's going to be really close down on the horizon, but that is basically on top of each other.
Wow, that is super close. What's the arc second on that? 36 arc seconds. Okay. That is exceptionally close.
That's like a decent double star.
Yeah, I think
like an easy double star.
Yeah, that would be a pretty easy double. I think when Jupiter and Saturn were at their great conjunction in 2021, wasn't it like 7 arc seconds or something like that?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
But this is really close.
That's exceptionally close. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a really, really close conjunction between Uranus and Venus there in the morning sky. I think it might be tough to see. I think it's going to be pretty low, because you could see like Uranus and Mercury were close together in the evening sky earlier in the month. So I think this is close. But as well, like sometimes people track Venus during the day, so they're going to be very close, for that day. And if people are observing, and I know, like I was observing with Tenho, who's a member of one of the astronomy clubs here, and we were out and we were observing Venus one day through his telescope. So people do track them down. Just got to be experienced at making sure that you're being safe around the sun, of course, because you never want to get the telescope pointed anywhere near the sun. So there's ways to do that safely. All right, and then the Crescent Moon meets up with Venus and Jupiter on that day as well. So even if you can't quite get Venus and Uranus together, you have that set as well to take a look at. So there's just a lot going on in the morning sky. Basically, if you just get up in the morning in April, you're going to have lots of planets and the moon to take a look at as we get towards the end of the month. It's pretty cool. And then on the 29th, we have Mercury at its greatest eastern elongation. That means it's visible in the west after sunset. And it says on this night, I've seen this in a few locations, says it's going to be 2 degrees away from the Pleiades, which is the M45 star cluster up in Taurus. But I don't know. I mean, Mercury is so close to the horizon, and with the daylight extending into the evening, I think that's going to be a pretty tall order to try to see the Pleiades. I think just seeing Mercury alone is going to be a pretty good achievement here towards the end of the month.
Yeah, that would be a tough observation. It would be pretty neat if you could pull it off, though. Certainly, I would love to hear about anybody that is successful on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be curious to see as well, but I think it's a fairly tall order.
Mhm.
On the 30th, we have new moon, and that's going to be of course, a great time to start getting out. I think I'm going to try to take a couple of days off work at that time, maybe do some dark sky observing. Hopefully, things are much warmer, and I really hope the snow is gone by then. I always have to remind myself that I have seen years where the snow wasn't gone on the 30th of April. So I always have to keep that reality in mind.
Yeah, it can still be chilly around here at that time. Um, the another interesting side note is Grasslands National Park, where you and I like to do some real dark sky observing, opens May 1st. So just in time for the new moon.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they were going to open that early this year. Often they don't open until after or at the main long weekend, or sometimes the weekend before. So that's awesome. They're going to open earlier and earlier. That's really good. They must be getting some demand for it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. End of April and into early May, we have another conjunction when Jupiter and Venus meet in the morning sky, getting closer than a quarter of a degree. So
Wow.
again, I know that's just super, super tight. Some of these earlier ones seem really close when they're half a degree, and you're talking about using, kind of modest power on a telescope. Like maybe like 120 power, you can fit things into a half degree field of view. But if things are only a quarter of a degree apart, I mean, you can use some pretty significant, like 150 power, and a wide field eyepiece will still give you these two planets, Venus and Jupiter, together in that same high power eyepiece field of view. That is an awesome conjunction opportunity to go and take a look at.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, be visible for several days together in the nighttime sky too, kind of like how the Great Conjunction was. Again, and I'm not sure how these are going to actually look. It's always surprising once we get into the end of April how much twilight we have at both ends of the day. So kind of to conclude sort of the main part of this, there is a partial solar eclipse for southern South America. And I know we have some Southern American or South American observers. I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be visible where I know that a couple of them live, but maybe if people are traveling to southern South America, then they might be able to get a good view of that partial eclipse. We've got a annular eclipse coming up in 2023, and then a big total eclipse in 2024 for America, for the US.
Yeah. Both events are pretty cool. The annulars are neat, but the total eclipse is, if you can observe one of those, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I don't know why they call them annulars, because don't they happen every 3 years? Anyway. We got some comets, a couple comets people can try looking at. Not too bright, couple near 10th magnitude. What do we got coming up, Shane?
We have C 2019 L3 Atlas. So this is an evening comet visible in small telescopes. It begins the month in Gemini at magnitude 9.7. So definitely, you definitely need optics for that, and a telescope is ideal.
Yeah.
The coma is 3.5. Is that arc seconds?
Yeah, it's not very big.
Yeah. And then it should fade by
minutes.
Minutes. Okay. It should fade by about half a magnitude by month's end. So, it will get a little bit dimmer as we get towards the end of April. And the other one to keep on your list is 19P Borreli, which I think we talked about last month during the What to Observe episode. But this is another evening comet that's visible in small telescopes. And it's kind of similar to Atlas in that it is magnitude 9.8. So they're both about the same brightness. But Borreli is in Aries, and it's about a 3 arc minute coma. So again, very similar in size to Atlas. However, Borreli will fade by about 1.3 magnitude by the end of the month. So that's pretty substantial. And it will move into Perseus as well by the end of the month. So it might be neat to watch it move from Aries to Perseus, and also to note the difference in magnitude from the beginning of the month until the end.
Yeah. And yeah, people are looking for place to, and they've got lots of these listed on the Skyhound webpage. So that's a good resource that I think we all use for checking out what comets are visible. But yeah, 10th of magnitude comets are starting to get kind of faint. So I don't think anybody's getting too excited about these ones. But again, just like with some of the fainter minor planets, there's certainly people out there listening to this, I know, that like to go and hunt up this stuff. So it'd be interesting to read any reports that the people might have. So anything that you're sort of looking to observe this month, Shane? Are you looking at any doubles or anything like that? Or what do you have on your observing agenda?
Well, so I usually have a couple approaches. One is my backyard observing, and then the other is my dark sky observing. From the backyard, it's certainly going to be a large double star focus. And I'm continuing to work through the RASC, the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. They have a list for double star observing. So I'm just working my way through that. So that's likely some of my backyard stuff. I'm really hoping to maybe catch a good night of seeing to try to split Sirius before it's lost for the season.
Yeah.
And then the other hope that I have is just for us to get out to some dark skies and do some of that observing. I'm super excited for that because you and I have been shut out from any observing for months with the winter that we've had.
Oh, just terrible.
And while I thoroughly enjoy my backyard observing, I do crave dark skies, and I'm excited to hopefully get out and do some of that kind of observing.
Yeah. So am I. Really excited here to finally be able to get out and start taking a look at some stuff. I'm really excited to see. I like these close planetary approaches. I do try to catch these when it's clear and possible. And I'm well suited. Like, my yard is horribly light polluted, but on these sort of opportunities early in the morning when things are pairing up, then I can just grab a little telescope and put it out on the back deck and take a quick peek, and then head back to bed or get up for the day and maybe head to work early that morning or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, without further ado, unless you have anything to add, maybe we'll wrap up here.
No, that's everything, Chris. Thanks.
All right, super. Well, thanks, Shane. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Be sure to subscribe in your podcatching software. And we're always excited to get observing emails sent to us at actualastronomy@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show. If you are interested in more information, would like to contact us, or if you would like to support the podcast, check out our website, actualastronomy.com.